All right, welcome to another episode of Definitely the Experts. Connor, did I sneak up on you with starting this one so quickly?
Yeah,
I,
took me
we,
by surprise.
yeah, we usually a little behind the scenes action from the Definitely the Experts studios. Usually I just count down three, two, one, and then we go. But I didn't do that. It's quarantine, man. Things are getting wild.
Things are hot in the streets for sure. Reporting live here from Madison, I can say for a fact that things are wet and wild here.
Ooh. Did you have? All right, super relatable content. What was the weather like for you yesterday? It was pretty wild up here.
God fucking damn it. This week was so weird. It was like 70 degrees one day, and then the next it was snowing.
Yeah, man, it was like yesterday was so weird because it snowed like 5 times for no more than 10 minutes each, and then it all melted and was sunny and not warm, but we didn't quite hit 70 up here in northeastern Wisconsin. I think we hit upper 50s.
Yeah, and it was really nice, and it's still, I would even argue that it's still fine outside. It's just really weird because I don't obviously spend a whole lot of time outside right now. So it's, I mean, really like my gauge of what the weather's like would have usually been what my walk is like going to like the bar. Because that's usually when it's like the shittiest outside, like when it's nighttime and like, you know, sun's been down for a minute. Because walking to work and walking home from work, like walking to work, the sun is usually at least in the sky, and walking home from work, it's still in the sky. So like, as long as it's not like January, both of those times when I'm outside, it's like, okay, weather's good, we're doing fine. But like at night is like, it's been fine these last couple of nights. Like I've been actually leaving my windows open in my room because it gets a little warm in our apartment here. It's kind of nice to have the windows open. That's a solid sensation, being able to open up the windows.
Yeah, like that's the first time opening the windows every spring is like always the best. Like last weekend it was gorgeous, and I had windows open for a good little while, which was nice. Got outside, went for a jog, shot some hoops this week, all sorts of fun stuff. But all from a safe distance away from all others, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
At a safe 6-foot distance from anybody.
Yes, at all times. Hey, speaking of safe distance, I'm guessing I already know the answer to this, but are your Easter plans greatly affected? Are you going home? I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not either. My my parents asked me if I wanted to spend time with them, and I told them no, absolutely not. But I mean, we
Also
had a
quarantine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were still all for getting together, but I didn't really think it was such a wise idea. I think that it gives me some peace of mind knowing that between me and Eric, we both don't really interact with a whole lot of like other people, or we don't there are no other factors really besides like us being in our apartment, and that's kind of nice, just going to bed every night thinking, you know, we're doing pretty much everything we can in terms of keeping our own place clean and minimizing the amount of extra interactions we have. So going home, it's kind of, it flies in the face of that. So there's all kinds of things. Like my mom is a nurse, so she interacts with a ton of people all the time.
Oh yeah, this is yeah, yes.
So it's not to say that she definitely has coronavirus, but it's definitely something to consider. So
Much higher risk.
yeah, so it, and just interacting with my siblings too, it's, you know, you have no idea where they've been. So for me, it just seems like it sucks to not be able to see family, obviously, but it kind of seems like at this point, just to buckle down for a little bit and
Yeah,
do
we're
your
not doing
thing.
anything. Yeah, we're not doing anything either. We're having a Google Hangout sesh on Sunday, which will be interesting. It's weird getting calendar invites from my sister for a conference call. This is a work thing that I'm supposed to get calendar invites for stuff. I don't use my Google Calendar at all, really. But, yeah, we're doing that. I mean, it would have been fine if it was, I think, just me and my parents, because my dad's working from home. I'm interacting with almost nobody, going with one other person that I'm seeing on a regular basis at work. And I think my mom has limited interactions at work, too. But, wild card, my sister works at Walmart, so, many more people that she's potentially interacting with. So we're not running the risk. We definitely weren't going over to my grandparents' house. It was just really a question of what we're doing as an immediate family. But yeah, absolutely not going over to my grandparents' house and interacting with the full extended family like we usually would. So, oh well, you do what you do.
That's right. You do what you do.
So, anywho, what's going on, man? You watched some It's Always Sunny.
Yeah, I didn't even realize actually that I finished the 14th season today. I didn't even know it at the time.
When did that come out?
I don't know actually when it came out.
I still haven't watched I've watched the first couple episodes of season 13. Did not finish it. And I haven't watched any of 14.
There's some pretty recent. Let me see. The last episode came out November 20th, 2019. So
okay, so it's within the last year here.
Yeah, I mean they had some like pretty current references in it for sure. So I knew that it was sometime within the last year or so, but
they made another Thunder Gun episode.
Oh, that one's good. That's the I sent you a Snapchat from that one.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Fuck you. It's all on Hulu.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess without spoiling anything, the first couple episodes of season 13 were definitely a little more difficult to watch because I've watched the other 12 seasons like periodically, especially when it was on Netflix. I would binge It's Always Sunny kind of the way that I do with The Office, or what I used to do with The Office, where I just like turn on The Office and I'll just have it on because I enjoy the episodes and the references they make so much. And so the first couple episodes of season 13, you definitely shifted gears to account for the time between season 12 and season 13. And you could tell it was, I think you said it when I was first telling you that I was watching it. It felt like somebody who watches the show, the first 12 seasons, was writing for this season. So they like know what the show is, but there were some things that they were just trying too hard with. Like it really felt like they were trying to shoehorn in how much they hate Dee a lot. And that actually never stopped through the couple of seasons here, 13 and 14. It really felt like they were just like, I don't know. It was almost uncomfortable sometimes. I won't get into specifics because I think I'll let you figure those out for yourself. But there were definitely a couple of situations where it was like, oh my goodness, like I understand what you're doing and your characters are supposed to be disgusting, but this feels like it's over the line.
Well, that's how I felt. Yeah, the same thing about like Dennis. Like Dennis was just like completely completely untethered, and his rage knows no bounds. And it was like, yeah, this has gone too far. It felt like at times.
Yes. But I'd say that it definitely picks up at a certain point in season 13. I think in season 13, they try to do a lot of things that were, I don't know, they were trying to expand and make like certain unique episodes much in the same way that previous seasons had. And I think that it's either because I was just initially watching them and I really just couldn't help but compare them to previous episodes, but there was not a lot going for it in season 13. I think maybe it picked up in season 14. But I felt like the unique things they tried at first were just not very funny. Like they tried to do a play on the Wade Boggs episode. This was one episode in particular in season 13 that I just didn't really appreciate because it was like the Wade Boggs plane episode, except it was an all-female flight for the Women's March that happened a few years ago when those were all happening across the nation. And so it was like all the female characters in It's Always Sunny, and they were doing like a Wade Boggs. They were like, it was a play on the Wade Boggs thing, and it was kind of making fun of like Dee wanting to copy doing it, but it was just like the episode was so bad. Like it was terrible from beginning to end. Like it was not very good at all. And I remember finishing it, and it was like, Jesus, that was really bad. And I'm not sure my mind will change about things like that, but I think the last episode of season 13 was it brought some redemption back to the season because it was pretty good. I really enjoyed the last episode, and then season 14 had a lot of really good ones. Okay, like there are a couple in here. I'd say season 14 is definitely way better than season 13.
And Dennis is in all of 14, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's in most of 13 anyway, right?
Yeah.
Missing from like the first episode-ish.
Yeah. Right. And then there's like episodes like the one that I just described where like none of the guys are even in it. So.
Oh. Yeah. Well.
So
all right.
He's not in that. But
well, that's so disappointing at because the original Wade Boggs episode was really good.
I know, and so that was fun. I mean, clearly they know that, and they tried to do like a funny thing off of it, and it was just really bad. Yeah.
Which is like, I'm surprised they haven't done the Nightman Cometh sequel episode.
I know. I think they know that one's the like magnum opus.
Oh, they're saving that.
Yeah, and how do you even like expand off of that because it's just so good. There was
people, they can come up with a way.
Yeah, true.
Maybe that's the It's Always Sunny movie, and that's how they close the whole show.
They also had another episode where it was like the gang does I forgot what it is, but it was just like a montage of like things that they did previously. It was pretty much revisiting like the glory days of.
Did they do an episode like that?
They did one in season 13.
Though, I mean, did they do one prior to that at some point?
They might have.
Or maybe I'm thinking of another show that did it. I know House did it.
Okay. Well, they did one, and
really
it was
shitty episode.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's like I don't know.
Anything.
It's no. It that's exactly what I thought when I finished it. It was so. Yeah, I think they hit their stride somewhere.
Is that the episode where they do the Seinfeld thing?
Yes.
Okay, well that makes sense because that's the only clip from that episode I've seen is just them doing Seinfeld. And then when they cut out of it, they're just all sitting around. Yeah, remember that.
Yeah.
I remember. So that seems like that could be a.
It's kind of funny, like it. I don't know. It really wasn't a very good episode up until the end because then they like put a spin on the whole thing, to kind of not make it just like a stock. We're revisiting these old episodes, but it's still not very good.
Well, that Seinfeld clip is good though.
Yes.
Well, I don't know because I guess. Well, actually, is it?
Yeah, it's good. It's like funny.
It is funny.
Even like isolated and in context, it's still pretty good. It just is. I don't know. I think that it was. I'm looking at it and the episodes from season 13, like I'm looking at them side by side with 14, and it's like there are so many better ones in 14 for sure. Like it's just looking at them side by side here. Yeah. I definitely like this one a lot better.
Is the Super Bowl episode any good?
Yes. That one is good.
Okay, because that was one of my first reactions after the Eagles won that Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Was like, man, this is gonna be a good. I hope they do an Always Sunny episode about it.
So they actually do 2 episodes on it, which is kind of cool. Because
Gang wins the big game. Oh, and then Charlie's Home Alone.
Yeah, Charlie's Home Alone and The Gang Wins the Big Game are like, it's like one big episode pretty much.
Double episode.
Yeah. So that one is pretty good, and I like that one. And I remember they filmed the thing with Jason Kelce.
Oh, he's in it?
Yeah, he's in it.
Oh.
And Bo Allen when he was on the Eagles.
Oh.
So, yeah, they're in it, which is kind of funny. Yeah, that one's pretty good, and that's mostly because it's like very much about the pride of Philadelphia, and so it's kind of sentimental in a way. But I'm trying to look here. I also like The Gang Solves the Bathroom Problem. That's a good episode from the 13th season. So that one, the Eagles one, and then the last one, I think are the good ones. The escape room one, yeah, I think it was just funny. We talked about it where it was just funny. They kept bringing up that weird phrase where the head cow always grazes first, or
Head
whatever.
cow is always grazing. Yeah.
Head cow's always grazing. Yeah, and they're chewing gum.
And then they do the thing where they're just, for whatever reason, knocking their mugs on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad that I watched it finally, because it had been a really long time since I've really put off just watching the new episodes of It's Always Sunny. And since they took it off Netflix and have it on Hulu, it's, I didn't have a Hulu subscription until Eric got one with this smart TV. So
Yeah, I don't have one either, but I see here on the Hulu.com 30-day free trial, so I'm in for that.
you can plow through this in like 5 days or a weekend.
I should probably not do it this weekend though, because I should probably just pack, because I'm moving in next weekend.
Oh, right.
Fuck it, I might do it anyways.
All I did was I sat down when I was like eating lunch and when I was eating meals, and I finished this whole thing in like 5 days.
Yeah, well, because there's only 10 episodes in season 13, so that's not much.
There's 10 in each.
Okay, well that's I could do that and still pack the whole apartment up and have time to watch something else.
It's not a whole lot. These episodes are pretty short.
Yeah, because have you watched Ozarks at all on Netflix?
No, and that's one I almost started it yesterday, and then I was just a little too tired to start it. But I think that might be the show to start, because Eric has watched it and is watching the new season, I think, and it's become like a cult show at this point.
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good. I watched season 1 and 2. I haven't watched 3 yet, because the week before I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch House of Cards from the beginning.
Oh, what? You watched that show?
Yeah, I started it, and I'm like on season 4 now.
Dude, I cannot watch House of Cards with Kevin Spacey, knowing what I know now.
Yeah, it's weird. That's an interesting thing. I've always wondered. I guess I'm able to compartmentalize for better or worse. Like, is that bad that I'm watching it? I don't know.
Probably not. It's whatever you want to make of it. It's just there's plenty in the show that you can clearly overlook, because Kevin Spacey isn't obviously like, at one point, I don't want to give any spoilers for our viewers or listeners out there.
No, you can spoil this. It's been on and it's been over.
All right. Well, the various parts of what Kevin Spacey's character does through the course of the show, where he's becoming vice president or president, what have you, I never finished the show because all that shit popped off with Kevin Spacey, and then I just didn't really want to watch the show very much. It was very entertaining, and I'll agree that at the time I blew through the first few seasons because it was nice to watch, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is not at all what politics is like, but
Well, is it
the
though?
the drama of it really sucks me in like a vacuum.
Is it really that much different? No, and that's the thing. I remember, like, it kept popping up. I was looking for something to watch, and it was like, man, you know what? I never did finish this because I did pretty much did the same thing. That all happened, and it kind of started tailing off towards the end anyway. But man, that first season was so fucking good.
Yeah,
So I was like, well, you know what? I got nothing better to do. I'll start this from the beginning again. And it's weird watching it because like when the credit sequence, or not even the credit sequence, when you start episode 1, there's this goofy like old Netflix logo that pops up, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the original Netflix show. And this is, and then when you open up Netflix now and they does the knock thing, it's like, oh yeah, that's from this.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Don't fuck. What's the word? Disavow. That's the word. Jesus. Disavow Kevin Spacey, but I don't know.
The weirdest part was he made that weird fucking video in character, and that's I think what wigs me out about it, and why I won't revisit House of Cards. Have you seen this video?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, I should send you it so you can stop watching the show. So after all these allegations came out of him being a pedophile.
Is this the one where he comes out as being gay?
No.
Because he did that right after this all happened. He's like, you know what, actually, this whole time.
Well, no, not exactly.
Okay.
At all, actually. But
Different
here,
thing.
let me send you it. We'll live tweet this. We'll live react to this.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay, here we go. 3 minutes. So when did this come out?
Looks like it's December 24th, 2018.
Well, when is that relative to?
When all this stuff was happening?
Yeah.
It was right at the same time. Like right when the allegations came up, he posted this video as a response.
But like, oh, this is a response to the allegations and all that?
No, yeah, this is him in character from his person from like House of Cards, but it's also as him, Kevin Spacey.
Huh.
You just watch it. It'll kind of make sense when you watch it.
I'm gonna like this.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that.
Nice. Does the audio play from your computer, like out of your computer speakers?
No, it's through my earbuds.
Oh, okay.
I don't like his Santa Claus apron doesn't really fit the mood here. I don't think Frank would actually wear that.
No, I don't think so either.
Did you? You need to say a W word so we can say whip.
Yeah.
Man, this makes for a great podcast, us watching a video.
Well, yeah. Somewhat dead air here, but I mean, I just can't underscore like how like eerie this is.
Oh, does he do the? Oh, he put the ring on at the end here. Does he knock on the table?
I think he might. I'm not sure.
I bet he does. Play the hits.
Play the hits.
No, I didn't do it. I don't know. Whatever. I'll sleep at night.
That, I mean, man, I don't know. That's what you'd post if somebody, when it came out and was like, hi, this person definitely touched me in an inappropriate way.
As a child.
Yeah. And then he contrived that. It was like, my goodness. I think you're, yeah, it's like you've gone too far down the method acting hole, Kevin Spacey. You need to just.
Speaking of going down the method acting hole, for a while on Netflix, that documentary about it was basically behind the scenes with Jim Carrey when he in 1998, I want to say, when he was playing Andy Kaufman, the Andy Kaufman biopic. You know what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah.
Man on the Moon. So I watched that. I hadn't seen the movie that this is based on, but it's very odd. It's very unnerving watching Jim Carrey, just all this behind the scenes stuff where he's in character all the time as this very goofy guy.
Yeah, that's weird.
And him talking about like, man, okay, when it was over, it was like, well, shit. Who is Jim Carrey now? What do I? Where does the line stop between Andy Kaufman and Jim the character and Jim Carrey the dude?
Yeah. Oh, that's why he grew out his beard and really just stopped doing anything in public.
Yeah,
just needed to get away.
Because he compared it to basically being like on the Truman Show. In real life, where all of a sudden I was living in this world, and it's like, man, okay, so if you know, I can flip the switch and be this different person altogether, what does, you know, all these social constructs and things that, you know, I've been told are important to me all the time, is any of this important at all? And it was like, this was like really deep moment for him, and he's like, oh, I can be anything and nothing, whatever I want. And I was like, man, this is
reality is whatever I choose.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he came out of that and he's just like, yeah, I don't have, you know, what motivates me, and right now it's nothing, and it's great.
Oh God, that's it's nothing.
And he's very calm about it, and it's like, oh, this is interesting.
Goodness.
So I don't know. That was kind of neat. Also, Danny DeVito was in it because he was on Taxi with the real Andy Kaufman, and then he was in this movie as Andy Kaufman's agent. And it was weird, like him and then all these other people that interact with the real dude. He's like, oh my God, this is insane. How like Jim Carrey is literally this guy has embodied this person who's dead now. And there's a really goofy part where the real Andy Kaufman had an illegitimate daughter who didn't know that he was her father for a long time, and never met him before he died. So she came to the set of the movie and was in Jim Carrey's trailer talking to her father for the first time, but it's just actually Jim Carrey.
Oh.
So that was like, whoa, what the fuck? This also is like Andy Kaufman's real parents were there, and they would refer to Jim, well, because he's method acting, so he would only respond to people calling him Andy.
Oh God.
So I don't know. That was kind of weird. There was all this behind the scenes stuff, and it's kind of fun because there's this other character that this Andy Kaufman guy played. He would go around and be this really rude lounge singer guy. This Tony Clifton, and so he was doing that also. And then anytime anyone asked him like, hey, aren't you just Andy Kaufman? Like, no, that guy's a no talent loser. He's riding my coattails. Would never admit to being the actual guy. It was a silly bit, but he did that too. He was just going around being an asshole all the time.
Wow. That's wild, man. Just like creating like a separate world inside of a world.
Yes.
Oh.
And watching it, like they were talking about it, like, oh, this guy's a genius. He's a comedic genius. I'm watching all this stuff. Like, this stuff isn't that funny. But then I was like, well, okay, for at the time, I don't know, maybe, sure. So Andy Kaufman walked so Eric Andre could run.
Oh God. Well, all right. Well, in any case, I think that we can transition here to some sports talk.
Yeah, so there's a big trade in the news. Billy O'Brien back at it again, trading a second round pick for Brandon Cooks. Your thoughts?
Oh my God.
This
I
is
don't get it, because it's like, oh, well, they got excellent value for Brandon Cooks for a second round pick, which is what they got from the DeAndre Hopkins trade. So it's like, all you're really doing now is you're paying more money to David Johnson and Brandon Cooks, which you could have used to just extend DeAndre Hopkins. It really seems like it was like we're just doing a lot of work for, a situation where we end up with what? Like, we haven't really like moved the needle anywhere. Like you could argue that you're no better or no worse for where you're at. If anything, you're. Well, I mean, as a team, they're definitely worse because they have these two terrible contracts that they're holding on to now. With Brandon Cooks, his whole deal, his injury history is up in the air because he's sustained so many concussions at this point that, you have to wonder what happens the next time he gets one. Is he done? Should be, probably. David Johnson obviously has a lot of red flags with injury history as well. So from a financial standpoint, it certainly doesn't look very good for the Texans. But skill position wise, you kind of have you're in a similar situation to where you were when you started before you traded anybody, because your team doesn't really have a bona fide RB1, with David Johnson. You could argue that I'm not sure what kind of deals Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde are on right now. I'd have to go back and look at that, if they might be off the team. But I mean, from a wide receiver core standpoint, I mean, I really don't think you moved anywhere. Like you said, if anything, down from DeAndre Hopkins to Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is still a really talented receiver, but I don't know where we're at now if we were to compare the two. Obviously, Brandon Cooks was very prolific last year. A lot of that had to do with injury history and the fact that he was working in tandem with two very excellent wide receivers, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, and then a quarterback, Jared Goff, who regressed substantially.
Yeah, there's an article I read about the whole deal. Bill Barnwell on ESPN likened it to essentially what you could have done, because they also overpaid for Randall Cobb to sign him.
That's right.
So I think it was Kenny Stills deal and Randall Cobb together equal about what DeAndre Hopkins was, or maybe it was Brandon Cooks. Oh yeah, it's Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb. Cooks and Cobb. So their two deals together was about what you would have to pay DeAndre Hopkins, and he's like, well, I don't know, but probably 30 out of the other 32 teams would just keep DeAndre Hopkins. Would prefer to do that instead of overpaying for Randall Cobb and then throwing splashing Cooks on top of that, which I would agree.
Me too.
If you want to look at it another way, so they get a second round pick and David Johnson from Arizona, and then you flip that half that deal, the second round pick, for Brandon Cooks. Okay, so you traded DeAndre Hopkins and got Cooks back. That's kind of the 1-to-1 plus a little cherry on top. That is, I guess you'd call it a cherry in David Johnson. Did that work out well? No.
Yeah.
All the while you could have just at the end of the day held on to DeAndre Hopkins and drafted a receiver in a deep wide receiver draft.
That was the first thing that it was really. When I first read about this news, it was like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of like big contracts that the Texans have now between David Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and Randall Cobb. Like skill position dudes from wide receiver core, running backs. Like those three right there, like that's a lot of money tied up in like three dudes that are probably past their prime. And so it was the first comment. I opened up this Reddit post on the Brandon Cooks trade, and it was like, well, here's the genius Bill O'Brien himself working his magic yet again, knowing that this year's draft is devoid of wide receiver talent and completely dry at the skill position. Excellent move. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I should just pull up the spot track thing so I can be a little bit more definitive on what I'm saying, but it's exactly what you just said, where it was like there's a ton of cap now tied to these dudes who, we know that Randall Cobb played well last year, but he was working in tandem with Amari Cooper, who was just having a year of his career. Like, yeah, I don't know. Randall Cobb's dependable. I'm not going to say he's not, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's not going to elevate the team, which is what we saw when Devontae Adams went down, and it was the Randall Cobb show for a minute.
Oh, huh? Yeah, that's right, huh?
Yeah, that's all I could think about.
Good point. Yeah, I don't like Randall Cobb as your number one. It's a nice number 3, but yeah, it's just a weird hodgepodge of like, yeah, you listen to all those running backs and with all these receivers now, it's just a list of guys that kind of make you go, well, yeah, I've heard of all these dudes, but I don't know. Like, yeah, Carlos Hyde was kind of good for a little bit with the Browns. Same thing with Duke Johnson, and David Johnson was really good for a little bit before he got hurt with Arizona. So like, that's just a really interesting hodgepodge. And same thing with wide receivers. Brandon Cooks, who's been around, has been very productive, but yeah, I don't know. You had him. You had Kenny Stills, who's, if anything, I know him more from college. He's a big-name college guy from playing at Oklahoma, being as productive as he was there. Randall Cobb is well-known, especially to us, since we're in Packers country up here. But who's the fourth receiver that I'm forgetting?
What did you all say?
There's Cobb, Cooks, and Kenny Stills. Oh, Will Fuller. That's the fourth receiver. So
Kiki QT.
Yeah, him too. I don't know. It's just an interesting hodgepodge, and yeah, like you said, there's a ton of money invested into those guys, and none of those dudes are really aging well, or are. I shouldn't say that. Will Fuller's still pretty spry, I'd say, even though he's had a couple knee injuries. But
yeah, he hasn't played a full season yet, I don't think.
Yeah, and also Brandon Cooks is 25. He's your age.
Goodness. Wow.
By the way.
I knew he was definitely a little younger. I didn't realize he was quite that young. I'm a young, spry individual. Anyway, yeah.
Do you run a sub 4.240?
Well, obviously. Just hasn't been time before. Off the books.
We didn't lose. We just ran out of time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at this spot track. So they have $6 million in cap space left. They have money tied up in J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, David Johnson, Larry Tunsil, Will Fuller, Bradley Roby they extended, Nick Martin, their center, Brandon Cooks, who they acquired and took on his contract. I'm just trying to find a point to stop here. They have Deshaun Watson for the 2021 season. Still on his rookie deal. But after that, they obviously have to think about making a deal for him. So you'd imagine they'd try to do that sooner rather than later than waiting for the last minute, because he's pretty good. So there's a lot of people that come before him right now, and I mean, looking at these people, we're just looking at a lot of money tied up in people like you said, people that are aging not very well. J.J. Watt is still pretty dominant, but he's
oft injured.
Yeah, he's over 30 now. So, I mean, you at a position like edge, you have to think about what you're doing. Obviously, you don't have Jadeveon Clowney there. So, what's the plan if he gets hurt again? Whitney Merciless is also not a young person. He's 29. So a lot of money tied up in him, $10 million a year. David Johnson, we already went over him. Laremy Tunsil's fairly young still, so I don't see any huge issues there. But Will Fuller, yeah, injured. He's making $10 million a year. Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, is making almost $4 million a year. You know, it's you. None of these guys are necessarily like super breaking the bank, but like, I mean, you add all these guys up, like, let me just do some quick math here. 7 plus 5.
Yeah.
Another 5 there.
No record contracts on the books right now, but you can definitely find cheaper players in the draft.
Between J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, David Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and Randall Cobb, that's 25% of their total cap. It's a quarter of their cap. It's all tied up in dudes that are injury prone. So I don't know how that compares. It's not really worth much without knowing what other teams are doing, but it seems like a situation that their season might be fine. Like, they might do fine, but it just seems like they're really taking some risks here and hedging their bets on people that if this person goes down, like, who do you have then behind him? Like, if Brandon Cooks goes down, what's your receiving core then?
Yeah, they might be okay. They might be all right next year, but I don't think did these moves they made in the offseason put them over the top and get them from, barely winning a wild card game and getting blown out in the divisional round to did this put them over the top to get them to that next round as a AFC title contender, let alone a Super Bowl team? I don't think so. If anything, this handicaps them because once these deals start coming up in a couple of years, you got to pay Deshaun Watson, you got to pay some of these other guys. You're low on draft capital, maybe not. I mean, this has potential.
We certainly don't have very much this year.
Yeah, this has potential to look like what the Rams are looking like now, where the wheels are kind of falling off of it. And they didn't really go all in that hard. Like, the Rams went like all.
Well, they got off because fucking Texans took the Brandon Cooks contract.
Yeah.
And then they also got rid of the Aqib Talib contract with the Dolphins. They got rid of Jalen Ramsey.
Reloading.
Or they got Jalen Ramsey. They went in on Jalen Ramsey. So, I don't know. They got rid of Todd Gurley. Good, I guess. We're all in on Darrell Henderson.
Yeah, gotta eat that money for a little bit, but that's all right.
Yeah, oh goodness, yeah. I think people are really. A lot of people really didn't like this trade very much, and a lot of people already didn't like Bill O'Brien very much to begin with. And I think a lot of people will be rooting for the Texans to fail because they want Bill O'Brien to have his just desserts on these transactions. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen.
I hope so. That'd be fun.
I'd kind of feel bad.
And he's the villain right now.
Yeah, I'd feel bad for Deshaun Watson, just like this guy who there's really no reason why. Like, your team is like poised for making a run at things, and it's just like, oh my goodness, we just We just need to add some pieces on defense. We just need some defensive pieces here, and we'll be all right.
No, we're gonna retool the.
Give me a tight end, perhaps, because who's even the tight end for the Texans right now?
C.J. Fedorowicz.
He's not. He definitely retired like a couple years ago.
I don't know who's Texans tight ends. Who is it? Oklahoma State in the top 10. What the fuck? No, they're not. Well, Ryan Griffin, you know.
Oh, Ryan Griffin.
Owen Daniels, definitely not. Garrett Graham, another Wisconsin legend.
How about I go to the depth chart? Darren Fells. That's who it was last year.
Oh,
yeah, he was not okay.
Okay, well, I don't know. Pass.
He's really old,
Not
though.
interested.
Well, he's like, I'm fairly certain that he. Let's see here. He did not play college football. He instead played college basketball at the University of California, Irvine. Very cool, Darren Fells.
Oh, regular Antonio Gates.
He's re-signed to a 2-year, $7 million contract. Yeah. He went for 341 yards last year.
Wow.
I think he had a good stretch down the run. 7 touchdowns. So I remember in fantasy his name came up as like a you know, you got to take a flyer on somebody on the waiver wire. His name popped up down the stretch. But I think that was because we were dealing with like Will Fuller was out, and Kiki Qt's out, and you know, we're thrown to the likes of who do we have here?
DeAndre Carter, Kiki QT.
I'm looking at these names, and Kiki QT was like out. I don't know. They were throwing to some weird people because Kenny Stills was hurt, and Will Fuller was hurt. Man, looking at this depth chart now, it's what the fuck? God. Really don't like this. But anyway, so we'll see there, but we have an article here from PFF, and I don't think we're going to go necessarily. Well, we can just briefly mention all the teams here. I think just breeze by it, not really dwell on each team a whole lot. And we've already talked about the Packers, and what they have for the Packers here is that they need a wide receiver. So we've talked about that extensively.
There's a good clickbait headline article that I didn't read from your boy Rob Demovsky.
Oh yeah.
Is this the year that the Packers pick a wide receiver in the first round? I don't know, maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe if they did, that'd be cool. If not, that's fine too.
Take Jordan Love. Take a quarterback.
No. I don't want Jordan Love.
Anyway, all right. So here we are, starting at the top. Arizona Cardinals. They have protection for Kyler Murray.
I would agree.
Yep. You need an offensive line.
Tough to argue with that one.
Yep. I think we'll. Yes, we'll just go with that. Atlanta Falcons, cornerback after losing Desmond Trufant in free agency. So this one's kind of interesting because when the Packers were picking cornerbacks, I remember it was in the draft where they picked Jair Alexander and Josh Jackson. I was looking at Isaiah Oliver, I think was a guy that they could have drafted in that draft. And his draft profile popped up, and it was like, oh my goodness, this guy at Colorado, he's super lanky and long and really fast. He's 6 feet, 210. And it's like, oh man, this is exactly what we need. We need this big bodied cornerback to cover opposite wide receiver ones. And he can lock down some of these bigger dudes that teams have coming out at us. And we didn't take him. He was taken in the second round by the Falcons. And I kind of lost track of him, and it seems like he's kind of ass.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
before
there's
the
a
draft
reason
or
why.
since.
Yeah.
So he was part of the problem why the Falcons got torched by the likes of the Houston Texans last season in that absolute blowout.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all right, when Desmond Trufant, as you mentioned, is gone now went to Detroit. So yes, shore up the back end for the Falcons, and it says here secondary needs pass rushers and linebacker. So basically defense.
Yeah, their defense. I mean, I think they ran through. They were just terrible at first, and then all of a sudden, they had a renaissance a part of the way through the season. I remember that was the thing in fantasy. It was like target any offense that's playing the Atlanta Falcons because they are just decimating people.
Yeah, and didn't they beat the Niners down the stretch last season?
Yeah, they turned it around at some point. It was when what's his name? Head coach's name?
Dan Quinn.
When he gave up the defensive play calling, they got better.
Huh.
Yeah, strange.
Job.
And they turned out to be like okay at the back half of the season or whenever they did it.
Trajectory that the Dolphins were on last year too, where the first couple weeks it was like, holy shit, yeah, target anybody playing the Dolphins. 0-16 without even breaking a sweat. And then ended up being pretty competitive down the stretch and beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
Week 17.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a similar situation, but I think, they just had complete lack of depth at a lot of these positions. And, I mean, this article goes over it pretty well, too, where it was, they lost Vic Beasley. They acquired Dante Fowler, but, he had his own share of problems, and that's why he was sort of passed around from Jacksonville to the Rams and now to Atlanta here. And they have him paired up with Tack McKinley, who has been okay, but they're still looking for that breakout season from him. So, yep, just depth all around there. Next, we have Baltimore Ravens. They need inside and outside linebackers. So,
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. They were pretty good last year. They acquired Calais Campbell. So
yeah, I don't know if they get better at defense and then the offense progresses a little bit and they learn how to play from behind or be a little bit take advantage of some of that, learn from that adversity they faced in that postseason game, that loss to the Titans. I think they will be A-okay. I don't think the defenses necessarily are going to all of a sudden be fast enough to completely shut down Lamar Jackson, but who knows? I thought the same thing about RG3 for a minute.
Yes.
We will see.
We will. Buffalo Bills. They need a quality edge defender that won't be over 30 years old this year.
Well, that's a great place. The draft is a great place to look for people under the age of 30.
Yes. So, yep, Lorenzo Alexander retired and Shaq Lawson was lost in free agency. So, yeah. They acquired Mario Addison.
I don't know who
but
that is. Who's Mario Addison? Where'd he come from?
The Panthers, I believe. I think the Panthers.
Who are you? He was drafted by the Bears. I don't know. That's where he was.
But I think he was playing on the Panthers.
Well, I'm telling you that he was drafted by the Bears.
He was on the fucking Panthers. I just looked it up.
Well, when was he on the Bears?
In 2011, and then he went to Indianapolis.
I told you. Oh, the Colts. Now they're getting in there. There's a third team there.
He played on the Panthers from 2013 to 2019.
So when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he's going in as a Bear, you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, all right. So I don't know. The Bills are a team where they seem to be really solid on defense, and I think that has a lot to do with their head coach being a defensive-minded coach and what they've kind of focused on as a team.
Yeah, defense is not the problem. They need weapons on offense for Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think tight end. Probably. Oh yeah, they have tight end here. Dawson Knox, I don't know. I mean, they do have Stephon Diggs now.
That's right. Okay, that's a good point. That's a pretty good pickup.
Stephon Diggs,
helps.
John Brown, Cole Beasley.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, having another person there probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, one more young guy to throw into that mix, and I think you get yourself a nice little stew there of receivers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, it's the wide receiver class is just so deep that, I mean, you might as well take a flyer on a young guy who, in other drafts, maybe would have been drafted in, first couple rounds. It's like maybe we can get him at round 3, round 4. So, might as well. Tight end to compete. Oh, Theo Riddick. Very interesting. Haven't heard that name in a while. Carolina Panthers. They need almost every position on defense. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling the Carolina Panthers might be really bad this year.
Yeah, you have a head coach that's making the jump from college to the NFL. The quarterback situation is not new. Teddy Bridgewater has played the league for a while, but he hasn't played. He did play last year. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I'm more concerned. Yeah, I guess about the head coaching situation and what Matt Rule's going to do. How he's going to acclimate to the NFL, especially with a limited at best offseason program here.
Yeah. I mean, they signed Teddy Bridgewater. They signed Robbie Anderson. I don't know.
Robbie Anderson doesn't move the needle for me.
No. I mean, their receiving core, I really like it, actually, between Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, really just those three, I guess. I like all three of those options being on the field because I don't think Robbie Anderson is like a bona fide wide receiver 1 kind of dude. I really like DJ Moore, though. He played really well last year.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson as a 2 with DJ Moore, not bad. And yeah, Curtis Samuel is an interesting. He was kind of that 5-tool player in college, and just I don't know. He's been all right as a pro.
He's definitely been like the gadget player.
Yeah.
For the Panthers,
which is fine, but it seems like other gadget players. He just leaving something to be desired as a gadget player. You know me, I like gadget players. I like my Tariq Cohens. I like my Tyreek Hills. I like who's another one? I like my Taysom Hills.
Any others? Any others you want to mention?
Yes, but I can't think of any. I want to mention them all. All right, moving on.
We got Chicago Bears. They need two starting pieces in the secondary. Yeah, so they released Prince Amukamara, and they didn't re-sign HaHa Clinton Dix. So
they got Deion Bush. They can move back there, which, okay. Artie Burns could turn his career around, as they're saying. I don't know about that. If it hasn't happened yet, why would it happen now?
Yeah, the Bears signed Nick Foles and Jimmy Graham. They signed James Graham to a 2-year deal, and so
the silly thing with this
these
Foles trade,
deals in tandem, really makes me kind of.
The Nick Foles thing is so funny because you didn't need to trade anybody. You could have just gotten Cam Newton, who's still available.
Yes.
I would think is better than Nick. I would say it's better than Nick Foles.
Certainly better than that contract.
Well, I guess the only thing, again, the only one saving grace for to sign Nick Foles is that he has such familiarity with the scheme, with the offensive scheme and the macros. Since he's had some time with Matt Nagy in Kansas City, and John DeFilippo's on that staff too, who he had in Philadelphia as quarterbacks coach. So that's the one thing. The fit. There's a lot of dots being connected from his previous stops, but yeah, from a contract and from a draft capital, what you had to give up to get him, you could have just waited for Cam.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Graham thing, whatever.
I don't understand that one. I don't. Whatever though. Can't really be mad because it's like, well, I've spent all this time complaining about James Graham on the Packers. It seems like, the next best thing to Jimmy Graham getting released from the Packers is him ending up on a division rivals team so that he can continue to do what he's been doing, but for a team that I don't want to win.
Yes.
Which
will make it all that much worse when he burns us.
Yep.
Inevitably.
Yep. But we'll see. Moving on, Cincinnati Bengals, a quarterback like Joe Burrow.
Yep, agreed.
So that seems pretty to the point. No, I don't know. The Bengals they were a shitty team, so just hitting the reset button essentially.
Yep.
Cleveland Browns, a starting left tackle.
Sure. Yeah, gotta protect Baker.
Yeah, they signed Jack Conklin this offseason.
Oh, that's right. Greg Robinson had gotten into some trouble this offseason.
Yes. They talked about it in this article by saying that still leaves an opening at left tackle following Greg Robinson's eventful offseason.
That's putting it pretty mildly.
Oh, man.
Yes, Mr. Hey, my Uber driver and I are going to go move a half a ton of, what was he moving? Coke?
I think just weed.
Oh. Well, we're gonna go move a lot of weed across Texas.
In this Chevy Tahoe.
Yes.
They also, this is pretty interesting, they lost Joe Schobert and released Christian Kirksey, who's now on the Packers, and they brought in B.J. Goodson. Oh, man. BJ. Love old blowjob Goodson.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't want him.
No. So
it just reinforces this concept even after now that John Dorsey's gone. I suppose Elliot Wolf is still in that front office, but just Brown's just picking up all the Packers' sloppy seconds.
That's right. Here you go. There is a lot of it last year. All right, moving on. Dallas Cowboys, cornerback to replace Byron Jones. So obviously they didn't replace him. And now they're left with their number one quarterback is Chidobe Awuzie.
Who else? And they also have Anthony Brown, and they signed Maurice Kennedy. I don't know these guys.
I didn't really know these guys last year either, but they were like
I knew Byron Jones.
Solid.
He had that crazy combine when he was coming out from UConn.
Yeah.
Jumped out of the gym, but
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the good guy left, so let's replace him with a young guy.
Yes.
That's all right.
Yeah, they're also in a bit of they're playing some games here with their skill position players where they're signing people to contracts. They need to sign Dak. They need to sign Amari Cooper. They signed Amari Cooper to the big old contract. He signed Ezekiel Elliott. So they have money tied up in these people. So now they need to play some chess to build the team now that they have money tied up in these dudes that they're sort of making the cornerstone. Not really sort of. They are making these people the cornerstone of their franchise at this point. So now we need to do this dance where hopefully you draft some studs.
Roll that draft dice. Hopefully you get hopefully your Wi-Fi is good and you get some, I don't know, good players.
Yeah, here we go, Jerry Jones. So, anyway, all right, moving on. Denver Broncos, speed at number 2 wide receiver. Yeah. I mean, that's what they've been saying this whole time. With the emergence of Drew Lock, they played pretty well down the stretch with Drew Lock starting instead of Joe Flacco. But there was a pretty visible difference between Cortland Sutton and the rest of the wide receiver core, and also Noah Fant. So, yeah, I don't know. Sure, get a dude in the draft. And then they swapped Chris Harris Jr. with AJ Boye. So 1-to-1 there, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. They'll probably be okay on defense because Vic Fangio.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch much Drew Lock last year, but I don't like him. That's
Okay.
That's purely a gut reaction. I don't think he's good.
Nice.
And I'm gonna be married to that take until the day he retires.
Okay. Cool. We'll
Watch
put that
it.
down.
Yeah, put that down so when he goes in the Hall of Fame, you can throw that back in my face.
He's gonna go off next year in like fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
he's
right.
Sitting there week 2, like still, he's gonna be available as a free agent after going off for like 2 weeks, and I'm being like, nope, I don't trust him.
Yeah. Okay.
Arbitrarily, I
Don't like him.
don't like it.
It's like Devontae Parker. Don't trust him.
Dude, I trust him. I trust Devontae Parker now, almost too much.
But before that, before last year, he was on your do not draft list.
Yeah, it was him, Eric Ebron's untouchable, Kenyon Drake. I did not trust him at all until he went to the Cardinals.
Good old Kenyon Drake. All right, moving on. We got Detroit Lions starting options at guard.
That's a really sexy pick to go guard first round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. You can for all these teams, you could say offensive line depth.
That's
And
actually
I
what
would've been like,
I was.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this, kind of thinking about doing the show when I was sitting in my room this week, where it was like, you know what? I really think you could probably make the argument to draft offensive line early on for just about every single team, except maybe even the top 5 at the position. And even then, you could probably make the argument just because, I mean, by the function of the offensive line, I mean, you really can't do a whole lot, even if everything else on your offense is just playing at an extremely high level. Like, if your offensive line is missing a piece, or you don't have depth, and a guy goes down, then like, all of a sudden your entire offense is like it's hamstrung by this one part, because it's like, great, well, now all we need to do is, you know, as a defense, all we need a game plan around is like this really shitty part of your offensive line, and then we stop everything from happening.
Yeah, case in point, look at the Browns. I mean, wasn't entirely there was more issues beyond just the offensive line for the Browns, but I mean, you look at that offense on paper, they're all world at the skill positions. Offensive line's not great, and then Freddie Kitchens didn't really help things. But
No, Freddie Kitchens demanding these plays that were supposed to extend way past when they should really didn't play to the strengths of having a bad offensive line.
No.
Like, we're going to have OBJ run this go route, and we're going to hit these bombs, but we can't really protect our quarterback for very long, so none of these plays are ever going to work.
Right. Yeah, so anybody you can draft you can go O-line early at anybody except for, like, the Bengals. Yeah, take Joe Burrow. Who's picking at 2? Redskins?
Yeah.
Yeah, pick Chase Young. Yeah, and then after that, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Tough to fault picking O-line early, investing in the offensive line if you have your quarterback in place. Or even if you don't, if you figure that out later. If you build the offensive line and then plug a quarterback in, that works too.
Yeah. Like you said, it's certainly not like a sexy pick, because offensive line is a position that you kind of don't really know that you need it until it's already too late in most situations.
Yes.
So, you know, we'll see. Moving on, we got Green Bay Packers. So we already talked about this, playmaker at wide receiver. So I don't know. We did already kind of talk about this at length because we talked about the Devin Funchess signing. I think that it would be nice for the Packers to complement Devontae Adams, Devin Funchess with somebody else early on in the draft, but I don't know. Just
somebody later.
Yeah. I mean, I think that looking at this, it's kind of, I don't know. You could say this about any team really, but I mean, if the guy falls to the right spot, sure. Like in some of these dudes that are projected to go in like the first or second round, if the Packers have their eye on a guy that they like in particular, then obviously go up and get that guy. But if he's taken, like if we're waiting for, I don't know, we'll go with that guy from TCU, that Jalen
Reagor.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor. Like if he's falling, like he's not getting taken, it's like, okay, we can snag this guy. We just need to we need to get him here early on in the second round. We need to trade up or something. Yeah. It's like, great. I don't know. Sure.
You're sitting at the back of the first round, and all of a sudden, somehow Jerry Jeudy's still on the board. Wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, right. I mean, these situations like that, obviously, yeah, we're gonna do that. Where Jerry Jeudy's sitting there, and he's only he's a couple picks away, or we're a couple picks away. Yeah, I mean, definitely get one of these dudes that that's sitting there, but sitting at pick 30, it's like we're very likely to not get the CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs, these dudes. Yeah,
who's that guy from Baylor who had the sickest catch of the season? Baylor receiver. What's his name? Denzel Mims.
Oh, that guy.
Oh, Packers Wire 1 day ago. Packers to hold virtual pre-draft meeting with Baylor receiver Denzel Mims. That means nothing.
Nice. We had a meeting with him.
They had a phone call with him.
So, yeah, any of these dudes, like Justin Jefferson, all these guys that are projected to kind of be there, it's there's bound to be one of these. I don't think every single one of these guys can get taken in the first round, just kind of by the odds of it.
No, so somebody's gonna be there at 30.
Right. Somebody I mean, even past 30, I don't think every single one of these dudes goes in the first round. There's so many of them. Looking at on Walter Football, Denzel Mims is the 9th receiver on the list. We have CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, Chase Claypool from Notre Dame, Jalen Reagor, Brandon. How do you pronounce this?
Ayuk.
Yeah, from Arizona State. Denzel Mims, Gabriel Davis from Central Florida. Oh my goodness, Laviska Shenault Jr. from Colorado. He's been talked about. Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota. He played lights out. There's all these dudes.
It's not even mentioning Van Jefferson from Florida.
Has he been talked about?
I don't know. I think Brett Coleman did a video on him.
We haven't even talked about Quintez Cephas.
Dude, we haven't even talked about the guy from USC. There's a guy from USC who's good.
Michael Pittman,
yeah.
He's 16 on this list.
Yeah, I think he's good.
Yeah, I mean,
the other Minnesota receiver, Tyler Johnson.
I said him.
Oh, who's the other guy?
I don't think he's out for the draft.
What? What about the guy from? What about the guy from Oklahoma State, Tylan Wallace? I don't think he's drafted in the draft.
I don't think so either. Anyway, so the point here being that there's so many of these dudes here that
Rashad Bateman, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, isn't he going back to Minnesota?
Is he?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Anyway, fact check us on that, fans. If you know that if Bateman's going back, I'm pretty sure he is. But anyway, in any case, so yeah, I mean, there's like 20 receivers here on this list in specific, where it's like they're all projected to go in the first few rounds, like 1 through 3. So, I mean, you know, we'll see if the right guy's there at 1. I wouldn't mind like having somebody like Justin Jefferson be there, or you know, like we said before, T. Higgins, Henry Ruggs.
Literally take any of them. I don't have a favorite. Well, actually, I have a favorite. His name's Jerry Jeudy, or Henry Ruggs, or CeeDee Lamb. You know,
those are my favorites. The top 3 receivers.
Yeah.
You know, we have a big-bodied receiver in Devin Funchess, so you know, maybe we go with a smaller dude like Henry Ruggs, like Jalen Reagor. You know, but who knows? Like, I have no idea who the Packers have their eyes on, and nobody probably does outside of their scouting department. So if the right guy falls there, great. If not, I mean, like you said, we have needs at linebacker, and it's always excellent to pick up people at the offensive line position. We lost Brian Bulaga. We signed Rick Wagner. Cool. But as we've seen in recent years, it's not nice to have an offensive line that's sort of broken.
Nope. Need more depth.
Yeah.
So, all right, next up we got Houston Texans. We've talked about them at length. They need a primary option at wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's just skip the fucking Texans because they don't have draft capital.
This was published before the trade here for Brandon Cooks, so I don't know. Sure, get another receiver. Who fucking cares?
With whatever Colts. You have, yeah. Indianapolis Colts.
A pass catcher. All right, cool. We talked about that.
With the Colts?
Yeah, they need receivers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Maybe
it would kind of suck to have to draft another receiver, but I don't know what you do at this point because you already drafted Paris Campbell early on last year. You have to draft another one. Like, great. So, yeah, but you need somebody for Phillip Rivers, so I don't know. Sure.
Somebody to compliment T.Y. Hilton. So.
Yep. All right, Jacksonville.
A wide receiver. No, it doesn't say that. Although they could probably use a receiver.
Well, man, what's his name? DJ Chark was balling out with Gardner Minshew.
There's one.
And, God damn it, what is his name? I have to look it up. There was another receiver there who was doing okay.
Yeah, not Allen Robinson, not Allen Hurns.
Correct. D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah,
he's another guy that they drafted early on a couple years ago. And Marquise Lee. That's their receiving core right now. Chris Conley's in there. Keelan Cole.
Oh, Keelan Cole, yeah, he's good. The fifth guy. No, so that cornerback doesn't specialize in the slot. Okay, so they lost in the last little bit here. They lost A.J. Bouye and they lost Jalen Ramsey. So yeah, kind of got a hole back there in the secondary.
Ooh, do you know who their cornerbacks right now are? Rashawn Melvin, DJ Hayden.
Yeah,
it's a far cry from what they had not too long ago. That's so weird, man. Seems like it was like just last year that they had AJ Bouye and Jalen Ramsey, but it's like, oh man, things can really change in a split second here, huh? Like they had one of the greatest tandems in football.
One of the greatest defenses for a year or two, and then it was all gone in a snap.
Snap. All right, moving on. Kansas City, additional options at quarterback. Yeah, sure.
Quarterback. Not
They,
quarter.
they're bringing back 20 out of the 22 starters. So, yeah,
And they have like literally zero cap.
yeah. It's
Anything else with, so.
the couple of dollars.
They did just re-up for another year. Bashad Breeland's going back to play corner, who I kind of liked after his brief stint in Green Bay. And he made some plays in that Super Bowl too. So didn't grade very well according to PFF, but hey, you make a few splash plays here or there, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and their big ticket guy, Chris Jones, he was franchise tagged, so I mean, I think they're kind of just looking to run it back.
I really
next year.
I don't know if you watched the Brett Coleman video where they're like redid the breakdown on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just like, man, could you imagine if this guy's ended up in the Chiefs offense? Wouldn't be fair because he's definitely going to be available. Not saying they should draft him in the first round, but as a running back, he'll be there. He'll be around for at least a pass or two. Yeah, it'd be fun if they just went full whatever, just get more weapons for Patrick Mahomes. Actually, they probably should go offensive line because of all the shit we talked about. They have their quarterback. They have an awesome offense. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, just build offensive line. I could see them. I mean, certainly not in like the first round or whatever, but I mean, I could see them going for a running back at some point because the running game really seemed to be the only thing on their offense that was kind of. I mean, they had Damian Williams played.
Playoff Damian.
Yeah, that's right. Playoff Damian. He was solid in the playoffs, but there was a time in the regular season where things were really weird with their running game between him and LaShawn McCoy. It was like, who's doing things here? And then there's Darwin Williams. Oh, okay. Like, what?
Yeah,
so
goofy the way Andy Reid. I don't know if goofy is the right word. It was just interesting the way he handled that with LaShawn McCoy because he like just healthy scratched him for a number of games.
Yeah,
including the Super Bowl, which was odd. Thought that was the whole point, was to save him for the Super Bowl, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the team's pretty good. They're basically saying, yeah, we're just gonna run it back, try it again, not change much. And can't fault them because they were a play away from going to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and then they won it last year. So
yeah. So whatever.
As long as Patrick Mahomes stay healthy, which he wasn't even healthy for the full year last year, yeah, they're going to be good. They're
yes.
a known commodity.
Yes.
So okay defense and be just awesome on offense. Still, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, can't keep up with them on offense. So next on the list, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Nice inaugural season of this location here. So help in the secondary. Yeah, I don't know. Secondary was a problem for them going into last year, and they tried to address it by drafting Jonathan Abram. He was hurt, didn't get to play in the season because he laid out for a big old hit really early on and broke his fucking clavicle or something, out for the whole season. So
they also moved on from Carl Joseph.
Yes. So they brought in Eli Apple and Jeff Heath. Is right.
Eli Apple, always a guy that got that first round shine on him.
Yep, and just kind of hasn't really been very good. Went to the Saints. He was okay there.
Went to the Giants.
Was drafted by the Giants.
Right. I knew that.
And then they need a wide receiver because Tyrell Williams wasn't a solid wide receiver one last year.
He's not a wide receiver one.
No. And I don't think
They filled that hole with Nelson Aguilar, so actually they're gonna be great.
That's right. It says right here in the same paragraph, Nelson Aguilar isn't going to be that top option in the passing game.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. So they'll probably pick a wide receiver in the first round just because it's the Raiders.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. Los Angeles Chargers, a left tackle to continue the offensive line overhaul.
Yep,
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Also, by the way, also need a quarterback.
Yeah. Ugh. Man, what if they roll out Tyrod Taylor?
You could. He's okay.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
somebody on Reddit actually compared him. They were like, Tyrod Taylor, I think, somebody on Reddit was saying this. Tyrod Taylor is going to be this generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. As soon as he said that, it was like, my goodness. His career could absolutely take the exact same trajectory.
He should just embrace that fully after Ryan Fitzpatrick retires and just go grow the beard out and then just be pretty wild with the ball. But the problem is Tyrod Taylor is not as wild.
He's very much the opposite.
Yeah, he's just kind of mellow as a player.
Yeah, and very conservative with how he his big thing with when he played in Buffalo was that he didn't turn over the ball a whole lot, and that was why the Cleveland Browns originally signed him. It's because he was a conservative playmaker, so good stopgap, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be hilarious if Tyrod has like a career year, like kind of like how Ryan Fitzpatrick did with the Jets a few years back. Played really well that season, and then landed himself a big old contract, and then he was bad, and then threw 5 interceptions in one game.
He's gonna have a good year here, and he's gonna parlay that into a big deal with the Buccaneers after Tom Brady retires.
Oh man!
And then that goes awry somehow. But Los Angeles Chargers, sneaky. They're the best team. They're the team most that probably stand to benefit the most from playing games in front of no fans. Because instead of playing effectively 16 road games, they would only be playing 8. Because they have no home crowd.
Yeah.
Away fans that come up and boo them.
Yes.
Funny joke.
Good stuff.
Dang, got the whole squad rolling.
All right, so then moving on, we got LA Rams here. Offensive lineman that can get the Rams line back to its 2018 form.
Can't argue with it.
Yeah, sure. We've been saying this to some degree with every single team. So, yep.
What they need, what they really need is just Jared Goff to go back to 2018 Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And maybe what PFF's getting at here is by sturdying up that offensive line, they will perhaps reinforce and have a rejuvenated, new and improved Jared Goff. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. There were a few times last year where it really seemed like teams had figured out Sean McVay, and Jared Goff, being Jared Goff, just didn't really bring anything to the table once teams figured out what was going on offensively with play calling. And so, yeah, hopefully he takes a step this year for the Rams, but we'll see. I don't know. Might not. Moving on, Miami Dolphins, quarterback of the future. Yeah. They need one of those. They have a lot of draft capital this year, and they signed a bunch of people, so
they spent a lot of money.
Yes, they did. So obviously the Dolphins are going to look a lot different next year, I think, one way or another. We'll see. There were rumblings that the Redskins were thinking about taking a quarterback. And I think that as we get closer to the draft, we'll obviously see how true that really is and what's going to happen on draft day. They might trade up to get that number 2 spot, but something tells me that maybe Ron Rivera is just trying to create some smoke.
Yeah, because where's Miami picking?
4, 5? I don't know for sure.
Detroit's 3, and they're supposed to take Jeff Okudah from Ohio State.
Draft order. Miami's at 5. New York Giants are at 4.
Giants are at 4?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fuck it. I'd stay at 5.
Right. I mean, obviously that's the ideal option, but if Washington's picking the second quarterback,
take him.
What? I don't really like the quarterback options after Tua.
No, I don't want. I definitely don't want Justin Herbert. I feel bad for whoever gets saddled with him. But don't pick a quarterback. I don't know. Because who's going to be left on the board? Then that means Chase Young's still on the board, Jeff Okudah, and
probably the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. Take your pick.
Isaiah Simmons, that linebacker who
that,
had a, I think he's supposed to go top 10.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if Tua's on the board at 5, take him. If the Redskins want to take him, good luck. Go ahead, Redskins.
Goodbye.
You want to give up on Well, Miami should do that. If Redskins are going to give up on Dwayne Haskins that quick, just do the same thing you did with Josh Rosen. Just get him on, bring in your 2 quarterback on the cheap, and just maybe just take a flyer on him. And hey, Josh Rosen, not the guy. All right. Well, hey, we didn't spend a whole lot for him, so no big deal.
Miami's just this skeleton, this graveyard for quarterbacks drafted in the first round and then discarded.
Are you a first-round total bust as a quarterback?
After year 1 of playing in a broken system?
Yeah, well, we'll determine whether you're a bust or not, for real. Josh Rosen, yep, bust. No, we've learned what we need to learn. He's done.
Dude, man, I don't feel terrible for the guy because he was just an absolute asshole after the draft and in the lead up to the draft too. He was just super arrogant and, not a real likable personality. And playing for the Cardinals, he was obviously not very good. And then he was traded, and he obviously lost his starting position to Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that was that. So, in a way, it's like, Jesus Christ, this dude is having the absolute worst start to his career that you could probably ask for. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Maybe don't be an asshole.
And he ain't rising.
Yeah. So, anyway, moving on from the Miami Dolphins. We got Minnesota Vikings. We got cornerbacks who can cover as well as the Vikings linebackers and safeties can.
Well, yeah, because all the Vikings cornerbacks from last season are gone.
Bum
They
bum.
all went to Cincinnati.
Ba-da-ba-ba. Did they actually?
Maybe. I know Trey Waynes went to Cincinnati. Who's the other guy?
Xavier Rhodes.
Did he go to Cincinnati?
He's the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh. Okay, well, they went to... That's close.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole story last year. Xavier Rhodes, it was just clearly he had fallen off. He was starting to the season prior already, but this year was especially bad, and he was picked on a lot. And Trey Waynes, they drafted him pretty early on a few years ago, and that Michigan State product didn't really blossom into anything either. So they're really solid at just about everything else in the defensive secondary there and coverage linebackers. But yeah, they need cornerbacks. Oh. They cannot get a cornerback.
Yeah. Definitely need a cornerback. And do you see who they got at receiver?
Tajay Sharp,
Dude, your guy.
my boy, he's going to step in for Stephon Diggs.
What? That's a 1-to-1 plug-and-play guy.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, what? They don't have a whole lot going on behind Adam Thielen there. Laquan Treadwell, it's
Is he
his
still
time.
there? I thought he left.
I don't know. He left and then he came back. They definitely like re-signed him last year, like a little ways through.
Yeah, you're right. He did. That did happen. Man, Laquan Treadwell was so good in college.
Yep. And then he wasn't in the NFL.
No. All right. Well, next up we got Patriots. They need a GOAT replacement. Yeah.
Yeah. So they
the
obviously
quarterbacks on the roster are Cody Kessler, Jarrett Stidham, and Brian Hoyer. Nope.
Yeah, so what? PFF lists Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, and Jameis Winston here, so we'll see. Probably need a wide receiver.
Yeah, that was the knock on him last year, is that Tom Brady didn't have anybody to throw to, which that has not been magically fixed by Tom Brady leaving.
No. So we'll see here. We'll see what happens. All right, Saints. Oh my goodness, we're already pushing an hour and a half right now. Lightning round for the rest of these because I don't want to take up very much more time. Where was I? I just scroll all the way down.
Saints need a cornerback. DBs.
New York Giants, they need a reliable edge rusher. New York Jets, they need a wide receiver who can do it all for Sam Darnold. Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Philadelphia Eagles, a field-stretching wide receiver.
Christ,
Yes.
They just need warm bodies in Philly.
Yeah, goodness gracious.
Stay healthy.
Pittsburgh Steelers, more options along the offensive line. Yeah, so does everybody else. San Francisco 49ers,
Yep.
the 2020 version of Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah. Where did he go? The Saints. He went to the Saints.
Yes.
All right. Seattle Seahawks, a revamped offensive line.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, protection for Tom Brady.
More offensive line. Can't go
That's
wrong.
right, offensive line. Tennessee Titans, pass rushing talent.
And
Okay.
offensive line.
Yeah, and
Jack
offensive
Conklin
line.
left.
Washington Redskins, quality starting options at outside cornerback. Yeah, because they had, Quentin Dunbar left, and obviously they released Josh Norman.
Yeah. That's it. That's all of it.
Terry McLaurin, man. They're so lucky that they landed him. Fucking dude was a beast.
Yeah, the steal of the draft last year, man.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, oh my God. He's drafted in the 3rd round, and he played lights out. Like, he was so good, and it's so weird thinking about how well he played despite, like, what was going on there. It was like, man, this dude has Dwayne Haskins / Case Keenum thrown to him. Like, oh,
Yep.
man. So anyway, that's that. I think next week we might go into prospects a little bit more. We kind of talked about wide receivers today, but might do like the first round, like the popular dudes that are being mocked in the first round.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get a little deep in the draft stuff ahead of the actual draft, and get you all caught up on the big names that'll be selected on the Zoom call night 1.
Hell yeah. Virtual draft. Yeah,
Be like fantasy draft in real life.
pretty much. I mean, it's like pretty much what's gonna happen.
That's what they should just do. They should just run the whole draft through like the ESPN fantasy engine. That UI.
They play the little
The little jingle,
when it's your turn.
just like they do in real life.
You're on the clock.
Dude, there's got to be a chat room for all 32 teams. Just shit talking everybody.
Man, Brian Gutekunst just Oh, the person picks a person. Oh, wow.
Fuck you.
I didn't have him going until much later.
Terrible.
Or like in the sleeper app, it was really funny when you picked. Who'd you pick in the first round?
Patrick Mahomes.
That's right. They did that, and it was the app would like it made a notification when a person was drafted way above their ADP. And it did the same, I think, when Brian drafted Aaron Rodgers in like the second round.
Yeah, probably.
Like they made like this gasping noise.
It's the audio from Wii Golf when you almost make a putt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it was. It's what happened. It was really funny. I had no idea that was going to happen when it did that. Brian was like, this app is shit talking.
Bill O'Brien, we'll trade a whole draft for receiver.
God damn it. Anyway, all right. We'll be finishing up this one here for you. Nice hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, tight almost whatever. Tight 100 minutes.
Solid. All right. Well, make sure to subscribe, follow us, comment, share, like, and we'll see you next time.
You know the drill. Bye.